Hey, Miss Nicole, how are you doing? Nicole, come here for a minute. Let's wave to the people watching. Say, hey, everybody. We're going to start service in just a minute. Say hello. You're on TV. You're on Facebook. Say hey. Thank you for watching us. Oh, yeah. Hey, Miss Tony. Feel better.
Good. That's safe. I'm not nearly as frazzled as I used to be. Is there a St. Jane today? It's Thanksgiving. You know, it is the biggest travel day of the year. So either people are coming home or...
So we should be grateful we're not in an airport.
I am. I am very grateful. I don't know what it's like.
How are you? How was your turkey? Did you have turkey?
Yes.
Good. What else? What else? What kind? You ate cottage cheese? That's a big shock. I thought you were going to tell me sugar cookies.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Unity of Metairie. Join us this morning as we realize we come together in the name of love. Take a look at the person next to you. Say Say, I love you and I love you too. Get your mic, Nicole. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. And lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. I told Nicole, I said, get a mic. She said, I don't need a mic. She's going to sing out this morning. All right. Now there's a person next to you. Say, I love you and I love you too. It's the wrong one, Paul. My bad. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Now lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, from every walk of life, every walk of life, every creed and color, every creed and color, in kinship we unite, in kinship we unite. Thank you. In honor of the God in each other. Oh, take a look at the person next to you. Say namaste. Say namaste, I bow to you. Come on now, feel the love in the sanctuary. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. So say hello to your spiritual family, y'all, with some hugs and handshakes. We welcome everybody. Last hugs, y'all. Good morning, everybody. Everybody feeling good today? It's a beautiful day. Even with the rain, it's a beautiful, beautiful day. We're so glad you're here. We welcome you to Unity of Metairie. If it's your first time here, if you've been ever since we started 40 years ago, we welcome you. And we welcome everybody that's watching us online on Facebook today. Hopefully you can feel at least a little bit of the love that we feel in this room. Thank you for joining us online wherever you may be around the world. We appreciate your presence here as well.
So let's all just take a big old deep breath and get settled in. Relax as best you can. Begin to let go of anything that might be bothering you or anything that you've been thinking about. Just bring all of your energy and presence right here to this holy moment, because this is all that we have. We're so grateful to come together here with our spiritual family. Unity is a philosophy. It's a way of life. We honor all religions, all spiritual paths, all lifestyles. We believe that in every living being there is the presence and life of God. And we believe that we are all exactly where we need to be. And that is true for us this morning. Whatever brought you here, whatever inspired you to walk through these doors, you are exactly where you need to be. Let's be grateful for that. And go ahead and silence your cell phones or anything else that might make a noise as we can create a sacred space together. As I'm still getting used to our wonderful brand new keyboard donated to us by our sound techs, Adam and Everett. We're so grateful to them today for this wonderful, beautiful, unexpected donation. And it's really interesting to get used to playing stuff. If you're a musician, I don't know how many of you people are musicians, but when you get on a new kind of instrument, it's like, whoa, it takes a minute. So, but I am loving it. I got just now getting accustomed to all the cool things we're going to be able to do with this brand new toy, as we say. So we appreciate them for that. Speaking of beautiful, wonderful things, we're going to bring up Miss Nicole. All right, y'all. And as we do every service, we bless the children that are here, and we also send a blessing out to children all around the world, wherever they may be. My prayer is that whatever their situation is, no matter where they are, that they are aware that within them there is a power that is greater than anything in this world. And no matter what anyone tells them, that they are the holy, blessed, beautiful expressions of life. And we're so grateful for Nicole here, who helps me sing in the morning, who brings such a wonderful presence to us. We're going to give this blessing to her as we send it all around the world. So say with me, everybody. Children of light, we bless you. We see you loved, guided, and protected by God's presence. And of course, New Orleans style. We love you hard, hard, hard. We swear to God. All right, y'all, let's give Nicole a hand. Just as a reminder to everyone that's watching, if you have kids, bring them on to our service at 10:30. Every Sunday we have a wonderful youth program. And come and join us in person sometime if you're watching this today. We'd love to have you here. So as we once again begin to enter into a deeper time of prayer and meditation, entering into our service, I would invite you to just relax, sit back as best as you can. Allow yourself to be still. Allow your mind to become still as we become centered right here, right now, in this moment, as we listen to these encouraging thoughts from our daily word.
Sunday, November 25th, 2018. Home blessing. My home provides an energy of divine love to all who enter. When I consider the seemingly negative energies in the world around me, I may wonder how my positivity makes a difference. The answer can be found within the boundaries of the space that is my home. My love enfolds the physical form that is home for me, ensuring that it is safe and comfortable. With the same spiritual energy, I include all those who live within my home and those who visit. If there is another space that I consider a sacred space, a nature sanctuary, a spiritual center, or more, I include it in my prayer intention. It, too, radiates the same divine love that fills my heart. I am grateful for the comfort and support it provides me and all who enter there. And today's Bible verse is from Isaiah 32:18. My people will abide in a peaceful habitation and in quiet resting places.
What beautiful words to begin our service. I'd also first like to acknowledge anyone that might be here for the very first time. Do we have any first-time people here? Here in the back? Welcome. We're so glad that you joined us this morning. We're not going to embarrass you or anything. We just have a packet we'd like to give you. which looks like this. Samantha's going to get it for you. And it just gives you some information about Unity, what we are, not only here locally, but what Unity does all around the world. And if you notice, there's a little sheet on the back. If you wouldn't mind filling that out and letting us know what you thought about the service, we'd appreciate it. I'd also like to remind everyone that's watching us on Facebook, if you would like to get a copy of this packet for yourself, just give us your name and address in the notes section, in the comments as you're watching us, and we'd be happy to send this to you. And as always, anyone that has questions, feel free to call us, email us, let us know. For many people that are coming from different, more traditional religions, sometimes we have a lot of questions about things, or we doubt sometimes. As long as I've studied what we call maybe New Thought, metaphysical ideas, I still have stuff that pops up sometimes from my upbringing that makes me doubt and wonder about all this stuff, new stuff that I'm thinking. And that's normal for all of us as we begin to undo some of the thought patterns that no longer serve us, things that were taught to us through different venues. And everyone that did that were doing their very best. They were doing it because they loved us. But many of those thoughts don't serve us anymore, don't serve our life in expanding and understanding who we are as expressions of life. So if you have any questions ever and just want to talk, please feel free to give us a call as we just begin to enter into a deeper time of prayer and meditation. You know that right here, right now, we are in this space together, and because we are here, the presence of God is here. For that presence is not found in a building, not found anywhere outside of ourselves. It's only found within. And so this morning, right here, right now, we open our hearts, open our minds, ready to receive, ready to know, ready to learn. As we feel the love of those around us this morning, the love of everyone that's ever walked through these doors, as we come together right here, right now, in this holy, beautiful instant. Right here, right now, we have come into the presence of God, and our hearts are open to love that's found right here, right now. Right here, right now, we have come into the presence of God, and our hearts are open to the love that's found right here, right now. And our hearts are open. And our hearts are open to the love that's found right here, right now. We realize that right here, right now, is the only time that we have. The future is not here, the present is over. The past is over. The present is all that we have. And everything that you need to know is right here in this moment. And every encounter that you have is a holy encounter. We know that as we turn within and allow ourselves to become quiet and still, we begin to hear the very presence and voice of God within us. And so we take time this morning to do just that. So I'd invite you to join me. Allow your body to become still. Put both feet flat on the floor if you choose. Just in any position that's comfortable. Give yourself permission to completely relax into this moment.
Give yourself permission to completely surrender. Bringing all of your attention and focus right here to this holy moment. As best you can, let go of any thoughts, ideas, judgments. As we try to quiet our minds, we realize how much space is taken up with clutter and chatter and noise and repetitive thoughts. But we also have the power and the choice to allow ourselves to become quiet, listening to the very voice of God within us. Begin to allow yourself to relax, releasing any tension in your legs, your abdomen. Feel your chest relax as you breathe in deeply. Let your shoulders gently drop. Release any tension from your neck or your forehead. Feel your face begin to soften. Allow yourself to become still and quiet. For in the stillness and in the quiet, we come face to face with our true, essential self, Spirit. Who you really are, which is whole, perfect, complete. Created in the image and likeness of God, forever loving, forever loved. And allow yourself to begin to breathe in deeply, watching your breath. Bringing all your focus and attention inward. Watching as your breath comes into your body. Watching as you release it. Breathing in the very breath and life of God. As you allow yourself to become even more still and present. Right here, right now. And just as your body has begun to relax, surrendering to this moment, take time to see what thoughts may still be there and gently let them begin to fall away. Allow your mind to unwind and become empty. Empty. Still. Open. For here in the stillness and the silence and the gap between your thoughts, this is where miracles happen. This is where transformation happens. This is where healing happens. In the stillness. Those precious spaces between your thoughts. This gap. In the silence we find God, we find ourselves. So together we enter into this sacred inner space. For within you in this very moment is a power greater than any circumstance in your life. It is greater than any condition, any dis-ease, any sorrow, any sadness, any worry. It is the very power and presence of God, completely unlimited. In this sacred space within you, nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. So we continue to breathe in this blessed breath, becoming even more still, relaxed, quiet, listening. Totally surrendering to this moment. Totally being right here, right now. Listening to that still small voice that knows everything you need to know. So we rest and listen in the silence. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know. Be still and know that I am.
this place of stillness, we are so grateful that we have come together this morning, divinely appointed. There are no mistakes in the mind of God. We are here exactly where we need to be. So may our hearts be open, our minds be open. As with each passing moment, we begin to see ourselves as God sees us. Whole, perfect, complete, radiantly beautiful, timeless, ageless. We are here to remind each other of our magnificence. And in the silence, we see this more clearly. We connect with our true, essential self that knows that it knows that it knows the truth. And so it is. Amen. So welcome everybody. And welcome everybody that's watching us today online, wherever you may be. And as I mentioned earlier, we do hope that you come and see us sometime and visit with us and feel the love of our congregation and our space here. So everybody had a good Thanksgiving? Yes? I had just a wonderful one. I didn't do much of anything. I didn't have to cook, which is always good. Actually, no one would want me to cook. I promise. It would be a disaster. I can microwave pizzas, though. Does that count? My friend Stephen cooked for like 6 or 7 people, and it was a beautiful day, so we put out tables in the courtyard and got to sit outside and eat. It was just so wonderful and so nice. And then yesterday, Friday, I went to see my sisters in Alabama. It's interesting how life changes, and sometimes really quickly. And I don't know if you're like me, but sometimes I think things that are happening in my life will just always be like that, and they're never going to change. And then when they do, you're kind of like lost. Recently, I've been thinking about and kind of missing in a melancholy way all the conferences I used to go to. For 10 years, I traveled, as many of you know, and I got to go all over the world as far as the Ukraine, and Canada, and almost everywhere in the United States. And I don't know if I'd want to do that now, don't get me wrong. I mean, that was a lot. I traveled literally 48 weeks out of every year. I was only off maybe 3 weekends. And I was blessed because I had people asking me to come to spiritual centers all around the world, and also to come to these conferences where you go for a week and just really envelop yourself in this, these spiritual retreats, which were awesome. And there was one in particular that is the main international conference for what's now called the Centers for Spiritual Living, which used to be called Religious Science. Many of you may be familiar with this group. They're like our sister group. And they wisely changed their name from Religious Science because everybody thought, they're like, oh, you're a religious scientist, what are you? What does this mean? This is a scary thought. Religious and science, Frankenstein, And so they changed their name to the Centers for Spiritual Living, which really reflects what they're about. And sometimes some people ask me who know about both groups, because I've been in both, about equally, Unity and Center for Spiritual Living. What's the difference? And I can tell you this, if we change the sign out here to Unity Center for Spiritual Living, it would be the same thing. Sometimes I would be in some of these spiritual centers or churches or whatever we like to call them these days, and I could shut my eyes, I couldn't tell you which one I would be in. It's all the same thing. We're all speaking the same language. The Fillmores had a certain way that they talked about things. They considered themselves practical Christians and really based in Scripture and looking at Scripture in different ways metaphysically. They were definitely considered themselves Christian, for sure, but they considered themselves practical Christians, and that they focused only on love and actually using what the Scripture said. So if the Scripture said something like, by faith you are healed, that you can actually be healed. And both the co-founders of Unity healed themselves. You heard me talk about this over and over because they set such a great example for us. And the Centers for Spiritual Living has the same, you would hear some of these same songs, like We Come Together that we sang this morning. That's Eddie Watkins Jr.'s song. We love you, Eddie, hard, 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 we swear to God. He's been here to see us a couple times. He was the music director at a couple of Centers for Spiritual Living, so all the music and everything entangles together. And so for many years, though, I was really involved with the Centers for Spiritual Living specifically, and I was the music director for many years for their annual conference, which was held in Pacific Grove, California. If you've ever been there, it's completely gorgeous. It's right by Pebble Beach Golf Course. There's a big, huge park they call Asilomar State Park, and close to Carmel in that area. Just gorgeous and beautiful. Some of the most expensive real estate in the country and beautiful places, but they had this awesome, beautiful natural state park that was right on the beach that had kind of rustic cabins. It could hold about 1,000 people. And I went there every year for probably 12 years in a row. And I would be there with like Karen Drucker and Eddie Watkins Jr. and my friend David Alt and Daniel Nahmod. You know, might not know these names, but we sing all these people's songs. And we were just the core group. And I remember when it was happening, it never occurred to me that it was going to stop. You know, I just felt like we'll be doing this forever. But it did stop. And changes happened, and they got different music directors. And I was okay with it, but I don't know, for some reason, this last week I was looking at some pictures that people were posting, and I kind of got that, oh, feeling. Do you ever do that when you look at stuff in the past? And so it's been really interesting just looking back and thinking about that and feeling kind of melancholy about it. The biggest sensory feeling I would have when I went there, the conference was always in July, and July in that part of the country is cold, very cold, and so I would leave. If I was living in New Orleans at the time or in Nashville or wherever, it would be steaming hot like it is here in July and August. And then I'd go there and get off the plane and it would be like 40 degrees. I'd be like, wow, you know, and I just loved it. So it was a wonderful time. And it's just interesting, I think, how things change. And I just kind of missed that. However, I do know this, that we romanticize the past. You know, when we look at pictures and we look at things, we change it and twist it in our mind to kind of suit what we really feel it should have been like. You know what I'm talking about? We all do this. We all romanticize the past. Because I remember looking at pictures of myself with the music team and some of the pictures of me on stage, and I think, wow, that's so cool. But I remember at the time that it didn't really feel cool, really. I had still had a lot of insecurities then. I was just coming into my own as a solo singing artist. I've never been a singer. You know, I've always been a piano player, and so for the first time I was singing in front of like thousands of people, and I felt very insecure, and I felt, you know, very insecure about how I looked and about, you know, body and all that, and just all that. And it's funny because when I look at myself, I go, wow, that looks so wonderful, but then I think about what I felt. I was like, oh my God, I was like, you know, so insecure. And we romanticize the past. And I guess there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, what the heck? I mean, it might as well feel good. But we kind of leave out some of the other parts, you know, that might not have been so wonderful. But never thought that would end, and here it is, it ends. And I've been missing some of that recently. And, you know, I was talking to a friend and mentioning that in January, it'll be 6 years since I came to this church. And that really is mind-blowing to me to think I was still in my 40s when I came here. Ooh. I mean, a lot has happened, and it's been a glorious ride. I mean, we've had up and down times, we've had craziness, we've had peaceful times. We never had anything like super duper crazy, but you know, people have egos, and we all have ideas about doing stuff. So there's been some challenges, and it's just been a wonderful, wonderful ride. And the main thing that keeps me going to keep doing this is feeling inspired. And that's what I'm going to talk about today, is inspired living and how to keep our lives fresh and new and inspired, because no matter how much work we've done on ourselves and no matter how exciting our lives may be, it's so easy to get in a rut and kind of do the same thing and kind of get, you know, just be like on auto control. And all of a sudden, 3 years pass and 5 years pass, and you kind of wake up and go like, wow, what just happened? Have you ever had that feeling? I have that sometimes when I'm driving, which is kind of scary. I mean, I am watching the road. I'm not like asleep, but sometimes I'll drive, and when I drive, I kind of get into a meditative state. You know, sometimes I write the best songs as a songwriter when I'm driving, because you're just trapped in the car and there's nothing else to attract your attention. And so sometimes songs come out, and I pull off the side of the road, and I used to have a little cassette player, and now of course I can use my cell phone. But living inspired and how to continue, doing that can be a challenge. And I was going to say, sometimes when I'm driving, I will drive and 15 miles will pass by and I don't remember what happened. You know that feeling? And it's kind of neat but scary. I'm like, what just happened? Like, I'm all of a sudden at exit 85, and the last time I looked, I was at 60. Was I abducted by aliens and didn't know it? And something happened. But I think it's the utmost way that we have to live is through divine inspiration. We have to keep it fresh and we have to keep it new, or we begin to die inside, actually. We begin to die away. Norman Cousins, who wrote the book Anatomy of an Illness, said it so beautifully, better than anyone I've ever heard say it before, when he said, the tragedy of life is not in death, but what dies within us while we live. The tragedy of life is not in death, but what dies within us while we live. And he is right on the money about that. I bet everyone in this room has experienced that kind of, death sounds so dramatic, but that feeling where you're just, nothing is really inspiring. You're doing what you have to do, and sometimes we have to do that if we have responsibilities at a certain job or something. There's nothing wrong with that, but that feeling of just, where's the inspiration? Where's the joy? I want to wake up in the morning and just be excited and jump up out of the bed excited about what there is to do. And I don't always feel that way. Charles Fillmore, who was one of the co-founders of Unity, was such a great example about this. And I can't quote it exactly, but there's a famous thing that he said when he was in his 90s. And he said, in the morning, he said, I jump up and sizzle with zeal about what there is for me to do today. When was the last time you sizzled? Seriously, when was the last time you sizzled? We got to start sizzling, y'all. We got to. Because I know for me, I know that I have a long life ahead of me. I feel like I do. I don't feel any need to be going off anywhere anytime soon. But who knows? But in some ways, though, I feel like I'm just getting started and just starting to realize all these things that I've talked about and taught for so many years. I'm just now starting to embody them. And so I get frustrated when I become aware that, wow, these 2 months have passed and I haven't really been inspired. I've just been going through the motions. It's easy to do that, especially during the holidays, because there's so much stuff to be done. And we don't spend enough time by ourselves during the holidays. Everything turns external, and, they have this crazy Black Friday stuff and all this insanity, which some people love that. All for it if you like to do that. I don't want to get trampled at Walmart, but if you want to go do that, that's fine. But Charles Fillmore hit it right on the mark. He said, I fairly sizzle with zeal when I wake up in the morning to do what there is to do. Now that's at 95. 95, so you have no excuse about I'm too old. Unless you are 96 or above, your excuses are done. Anybody here 96 or above? All right, no excuses then. Not one excuse. Get over it. I hear people in their 40s and 50s saying, well, I'm getting old, too old for that. Have you lost your mind? I see people now, and I'm so glad this is changing. It's not a cliche when you say stuff like, 60 is the new 40. I think that's true. And even 70 is the new 40, or whatever it is. I think for many, many years, we really bought into that mold of what something's supposed to be when you get old. And for many of us, that's why we go down that road on our path, because, we're creating our lives. We all know that. We talk about that. That's one of our principles. We are co-creating our lives with this presence and power within us. And many times we just co-create what we see. So if the model that you've seen your whole life is you get retired and you get old and you decline and you go in a nursing home, then many times we do that, not because it's necessary, but because that's the path that we look at and follow and automatically do. But that doesn't have to be our choice. I told my niece yesterday, because when I went over to see my family, as I said, and my niece joined my sister-in-law for lunch, And they were talking about a friend of theirs who, they were pulling the plug on a person. And there was a fight about it, as there always is, with the family. Like, should we do this or should we not? And I told my niece, I said, you'll probably be, I hope I outlive my sister because she's 20 years older than me. Hopefully I'll outlive her. And I told my niece, I said, well, you're the one that if I were to be in that situation, you'd be the one. And I said, I want you to know right now, and record it on your iPhone, that if I am laying there and can't do anything and there's no quality of life, you sneak in there and you pull the plug. Do whatever you have to do to get me out of there. Not interested. Not interested. Anybody interested in doing that? No.
What, pull the plug?
Yeah, pull on the plug. We can have you come pull the plug, Paul. But it's so important for us to keep ourselves alive on the inside and to stay inspired and to not let ourselves get in a rut and just continue to do the same things over and over and over again and just accept that that's normal. I love when Course in Miracles says there should be miracles happening every day, and if they're not, something horrible has gone wrong. Something horrible has gone wrong if miracles aren't happening every day. Now, this isn't a judgment if you're not experiencing that. It's just an ideal to know something that is possible. That's what spiritual masters have done for us. Jesus, there's probably nobody in this room that I know of that could live at the conscious level that Jesus lived, where he was totally awake. I always just imagine Jesus as being totally awake in this dream of duality. He was here in the dream, but he was awake, and he saw the whole thing, and he knew it. I don't know of anybody here that's like that, and if you are, please come forward and you can begin to speak, and I'll sit down and listen to you. Be happy to. But these spiritual masters were showing us what was possible. They were showing us what was possible at the highest level of consciousness whenever we totally awaken and remember who we are. And that's why they never worried. That's why Jesus many times, not only Jesus, but all through the scriptures, he mentioned over and over, like, why worry? Even the birds are taken care of, and plants are taken care of. If the animals of the world are taken care of, surely God will take care of you if you allow it. And so many times we lose our inspiration because we spend a lot of time worrying. That's one of the first things that will begin to decay at our inspiration. We begin to worry. And if we get inspired to do some big thing, we doubt and we won't do it. And we start making excuses about, I don't have enough money to do that, or how's it going to happen? And, and all those things that come up, these grand ideas. But spiritual masters have simply set an example, so we shouldn't feel bad if we can't live at that level. Everyone familiar with Mary Baker Eddy when I say that name? Maybe. So she came from the New Thought system. There's kind of a family tree of what we call New Thought, which are like Unity is part of that, and Ernest Holmes, who started the Center for Spiritual Living. There was a guy named Phineas Quimby back in the 1800s who really started talking about the kind of things that we talk about here, like saying you're creating your life, there are laws in the universe, the law of attraction, and all these things. And from him, there was a family tree that sprouted out, and Mary Baker Eddy was part of that tree, and she started a group called Christian Science, which, if you didn't know her name, you probably heard of that. And she taught a lot of wonderful things, but how she missed the mark, in my opinion, this is just Jack's opinion, is that she didn't fully understand that when the scripture says you can be healed by your faith, that unless your faith is actually at that level of believing you can be healed, then you still need to rely on external things to help you. You can be healed of any disease. Every disease that we know today that we call incurable, every single one of them, someone has healed themselves of it. Guaranteed, promise you. Every disease that science calls incurable, there is someone walking around that completely cured themselves of it. And Louise Hay was one of them. She was given 6 months to live. And not only did she not live to be 6 months, but live for 6 months, but she lived to be 90 years old. The diagnosis, I think, was in her 30s. Not only did she live, but she did sizzle with zeal. Some of you may know her story. She healed herself of cancer, and not only was she set on doing that, but she realized that she had a mission to do, and she started little by little, she wasn't trying to create an empire, but she created a publishing empire of books that have been helpful to people and helped others to heal. And her book, You Can Heal Your Life, was a groundbreaking, best-selling book that just talked about that. And I'm sure that she sizzled with zeal. She just made her transition, I believe it was last year, at 90 years old. And she's an inspiration to me because I'm 55 now. And although I feel like I've accomplished some things, I just feel like there's more to be done and there's more to know. And but sometimes I feel like the clock is ticking. Like, the clock is ticking. I better get to work. And then I have to step back and say, no, right now I just have to be where I'm at and do what's in front of me right now. And I think of Louise Hay and say, she was 5 years older than me before she even started her real life work. She did not start Hay House until she was 60 years old. So once again, no excuses. We got to sizzle. Everybody ready to sizzle? But these spiritual masters, it's important for us to realize, and I go back to Christian Science, that whenever the scriptures say this is an ideal that is possible. But unless you're at that consciousness of belief, then don't try it. I mean, if you have an illness and you go to the doctor and he says, take this pill, and you feel like you need to take that pill, you swallow it as fast as you can. Medicine, God is in medicine. I mean, medicine helps us to stay here, to continue to grow and forgive and to learn to love. And then there may be another time in our life when we're able to completely heal ourselves in other ways. But, you know, we got to use common sense when we talk about metaphysics. We absolutely do. Sometimes I hear people talking about stuff, and when I used to go to, conferences and retreats, everybody would be, talking at lunch and stuff, and I'd hear some crazy stuff. I mean, there's some crazy people in Unity, believe me. There's a reason they call us the Unitics. But it's in a good way, because we think out of the box a little bit, so the world thinks that's crazy, But, I always get a little irritated, which is my own issue, I guess, is that when I hear people talking about things that aren't practical, they're so esoteric and don't use common sense. And I can't think of anything right now, but I've heard conversations just over at the next table or something. I'm like, well, that just sounds too crazy and far out there. I remember, and I do remember one, not a conversation, but I went to a meeting. You've heard me talk a little bit before about the Pleiadians. A lot of people believe that the Pleiades is a star group, and that there are actually these beings, the Pleiadians, that are sending messages to us, and they're circling, and they may be. I'm not saying that they're not. And I went to this one group one night, and they were all excited because they said the time has come that the Pleiadians are going to hook the Earth onto the big mothership and pull the Earth through a photon belt and take us into the fourth dimension. And I was like, all right, I'm out of here. Now, that may be true. I don't know. And that was 25 years ago, and it hadn't happened. And, I'm not trying to make fun, or maybe I am. I don't know. The point is, we have to use common sense when we do these things. We have to, it's great to believe these wonderful, great ideas that sometimes inspire us, but we have to insert common sense, because I want something that works for me. Sometimes I've read books that I loved, and I read and I was excited about, but I couldn't really apply them to my life. So when I got up on Monday, I couldn't use it. I want something that's practical, so that if I get up Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday and I feel horrible and I'm doubting and I don't feel good about myself and I don't feel good about what I'm doing, I want some tools to help me to feel better and to remember who I am as a beautiful, holy child of God. It has to be practical. The New Thought movement actually sprang out of that idea as a backlash to things like Pentecostalism, which I grew up in that. You've heard me talking about my parents being ministers. And in a lot of those situations, you have a wonderful, and it is a divine experience, when people speak in tongues and do whatever. If that's their connection to the divine, it's divine, and it's true for them, But when you do all that and you have this great experience on Sunday, but then you wake up on Monday and you don't have anything to help you through the day, well, really, how's it practical? I want something I can use. I want something that uses common sense, where I don't have to sit in a certain position and stand on my head and, shave my legs and, stand sideways and whatever it is to do. I'll never forget, I got so discouraged the very first time I checked out Transcendental Meditation. It's when I lived in New Orleans in the 90s. And I went to this group. It was actually an official TM group where they brought these devotees over, and they were holding these groups, and you could go to this free seminar and listen to what they had to say. And if you wanted to do it, then you paid a fee and you did it. And I was so excited because that was the very first time I'd heard of Transcendental Meditation in a good light. We were told as children that it was satanic. We really were. Oh, I don't even know how I'm like sane. But some of the stuff I was told. But anyway, therapy does wonders and our spiritual work. But so I went to this and I was so excited to be able to hear this and to feel this. And I remember there were so many things that you had to do. You had to go and pick a fresh flower from outside. You had to have a certain mat bought that had been blessed by the Maharishi or something. And you had to wear this certain thing. And I was exhausted by the time they told me what all I had to do. And I knew that if I was supposed to do this every day, I wasn't going to do it. I mean, if I had to go scratch out, where do you find fresh flowers in the concrete French Quarter, find a fresh flower and put it in a vase. I was like, this does not work for me. And that's the only reason I didn't sign up for it. I loved what they had to say. And I wish I would have had somebody to tell me, and I'm telling you right now, meditation, spiritual practice is as simple as being and sitting anywhere where you're comfortable and just allowing yourself to be still, even if it's for 5 minutes, and doing the best you can to allow your mind to become quiet. That's all that it is. If you feel like you need to curl up like a pretzel and assume the lotus position and sniff a flower, well, then do that as well. Nothing wrong with that as well. But this is all supposed to be simple. We're supposed to be inspired by the simple things and live that inspired life. I was going to ask you guys, what's something that really inspires you? Just when it happens or when you hear it, or what's something that inspires anybody? What sizzles you up? What gets you sizzled?
Fall. Like the change in the leaves
Fall.
right now.
Uh-huh.
And just this feeling of I have energy.
Right.
The summer's been so draining.
Yes.
I have energy. I feel like I could go out and do anything right now.
Awesome.
And just fall does that for me every year. And just seeing the colors, it's like, wow.
So that feeling of inspiration. It's like, would you say you come alive? Like that's what I'm saying about now is like inspiration makes us come alive. And for people listening, Tim, our good friend Tim, was telling us that fall and the feeling and the coolness after the summer and all that makes him energized, and as I inserted, he comes alive during that time. So that's something that inspires you. What's somebody else? What inspires you? Yeah, Adam. When the Saints win. Well, we laugh, but I get inspired too. That's so crazy because you wouldn't think, it's a football team. It's a football game. You wouldn't think, but why do we get so invested? You can feel it in the city when they lose or when they win, and I'm not joking. You can feel it when you walk around the next day. If they have lost, it's just this cloud, like just hanging. You can feel it, and the people are moping, and I'm like, it's a football game. But I know it, I feel it too. But when we win, it's like this whole other thing. Isn't that kind of a crazy, that we should do some research about energetically what's happening there. So the Saints, that's a good one. Anybody else? Shelley?
A butterfly taking its first flight.
Wow. Butterfly taking its first flight. Have you had the opportunity to see that, like its very first flight? How cool. And that's something that's very miraculous but simple at the same time. The fact that it did that and flew off. That's awesome. So anybody else?
Acts of kindness.
Acts of kindness. Maybe seeing acts of kindness? Yes. That gets me, man. I have like burst into tears in public before by seeing something very simple, like an act of kindness that was unexpected. If you look for those things, you will see them, I promise. The world presents to you what you're looking for. If you begin to look for acts of kindness, you will begin to see it. So what else? What inspires you guys? Sam?
Common unity.
Coming to unity. We love that. Yay. Best answer yet. Yay. So Samantha said coming to unity. Yes. Well, thank you. And we appreciate you being here and all that you do. So these examples show us that it doesn't have to be a huge, big revelation for us to live inspired. That it's of utmost importance that we stay inspired. And sometimes I have to admit, in closing, I have to admit that I struggle with staying inspired for you guys. And, after I've been here 6 years, and, so many things have changed and so many things have evolved, and yet there's many things that are still the same. But I'm always checking myself to say, am I inspired to inspire someone? I have to be inspired to inspire you, or else it's not going to work. I mean, we can always smell when someone's being inauthentic. You know that, right? When someone's not being themselves, you can tell it a mile away. But I think we all have to look for whatever we can do to live that inspired life. We have to continue, and it's work in some respect, because it's much easier to default to just doing what you've always done and living a life that's comfortable. I've done that many times, just got into like a little flow and got comfortable, and then I kind of wake up and go like, wow, like I'm not inspired by what's happening today. I'm not inspired about what's happening in my life. But my prayer for us all is that we learn, as Charles Fillmore said, that he fairly sizzles with zeal as he gets up in the morning to do what God would have us do. The most important reason for us to stay inspired is that that's when we can be of most help to others. That's when we can give of ourselves more than ever. Because if we're not inspired, we don't have any energy to give others when they need us. When someone calls or we see someone that is down. So let's all just take a moment and think about our lives. Maybe think of some ways and some things that we can do to keep us inspired, to keep us connected to that vital source of life within us. This vital source of life that is God, that is good. For spirit is the very breath of God within us, if we are willing to keep ourselves open to that. And so may our prayer be today, Spirit, God, whatever you may call it, may I stay rejuvenated, inspired, no matter what my age, no matter what the conditions of my life, may I continue to look for inspiration, doing the things that I love, doing the things that bring me pleasure and joy and wonderment. And during this holiday season, may we remember to keep our thoughts within. We can get out and enjoy the things that are going on, but don't let that distract us from our inner life. That inner life of inspiration and joy and happiness and love that is our divine inheritance as children of God. You are always loved. You are always taken care of. You are always safe, held in the hands of grace, safe in the arms of love. You are the beloved, holy child of God. May we all continue to live with inspiration and joy. This is the truth about you, and this is the truth about me. And so it is. Amen and amen. So once again, I'm so grateful to have you join with us this morning, the day after Thanksgiving, or the weekend of Thanksgiving. And we come to the part of our service where we give to our spiritual family to support all that we do, to support all the programs that are here, to pay our bills. We're thankful to everyone that gives and grateful not only that give of their money and tithes, but also of their time as they volunteer. They help us out with this magnificent place we call Unity of Metairie. So this morning, we bring our offering forward as an act of giving, as an act of faith, knowing that as we give, it is given back to us. We bring that forward here, drop it in the basket there, and you can take an affirmation with you, a little sheet of paper to remind you of the day, during the day, of something wonderful. And if you choose to give by credit card, Joan is in the Welcome Center where you came in back here, and she can take that from you there safely and securely through our PayPal program. And for everyone that's watching too, if you would love to support us, and we thank everyone that has given through our online services. Thank you so much for being with us today. And if you would like to give and support our spiritual family, you can simply look at the post right below Watch for Watching there. There's a quick link you can click with one little push of a button and give securely there with any credit card or PayPal accounts. And we thank you for supporting us as well. So as we give this morning, we remind ourselves of how blessed we are, how grateful we are. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, that we are so blessed. I am so blessed as we give this morning. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. We can say we are so blessed. We are so blessed. We are so grateful for all that we have. We are so blessed. We are so blessed. We are so grateful. We are so blessed. We are so grateful. We are so blessed. We are thankful to everyone that gives to support our spiritual family. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. We are abundant, and so it is. So the Saints are off today, so no need to go skidding out of the parking lot. Wow, I can't believe they're winning by so many points. You know, like 50 to something to 40 something. It's just amazing. Once again, we're grateful to everyone that joined us for the first time. We hope to see you again at some other time. And take this packet home. And we're so glad that you joined us today. And having your presence here was important. We hope to see you again at some time. So just a few announcements as we come up on, can you believe Christmas is a few weeks away? My goodness. So just our regular announcements on Tuesday night. Paul, tell us what's happening for Spiritual Education Night on this Tuesday.
We're going to look at and compare the many different spiritual celebrations, holidays, Sabbath, whatever, around winter. You know, Christmas being one of those, and Hanukkah and Yule and all those different things. And mainly talk about what are some of the commonalities within that, because to me, that gives you maybe what is the core of that spirituality based on all those different traditions. We'll do that this Tuesday at 7.
Awesome. Great. We appreciate Paul and Brenda for all they do. On Tuesday night is always our spiritual education night, so join them at 7 p.m. Wednesday night, we will have meditation, as always, at 6 p.m. Come and join us in the silence with candles and guided words and music, and dive deep into that sacred place within us. Right after that, At 7 p.m. on Wednesday, I facilitate a discussion on the book A Course in Miracles. You're welcome to come to any of those. There's no experience necessary. What about lunch punch today? What are we going to do?
We're going to Laggers. I always pronounce it wrong.
Loggers?
Loggers.
Loggers, okay. That's down there by the mall, right on
Right
Veterans?
in Veterans, yes.
Okay, very, very cool. Awesome. So meet there maybe probably about 12:30 or so. Is that good?
Yeah, I'll
Just
be there.
after service. So yeah, Sam will get a table, and thank you for working that out as well. Please continue to bring in food for Second Harvest Food Bank. We believe in giving out in the community, and this is one way that's easy to do it. Just bring any maybe holiday food, stuffing, or anything that's non-perishable that might could be used during the holidays, and we will make sure that it gets to where it needs to be. This is a special time of year for some people, and for some people it's a very sad time of year if they're by themselves or alone. So we want to support those that may be hungry in our areas, so bring that. We do have the new daily words out there for November and December. If you haven't got your new one yet, this is a daily dose of inspiration you can get for 2 whole months for just $5, a small little book to keep by your bedside to read, or wherever it might be to inspire you. I don't think we got a copy of the service today, but yeah, we go selling that. We don't have a service, but you can always go back. I don't know if you know this or not, but all of our streaming services are archives. You can go back at Unity Church of Metairie on Facebook, and you can watch the service and re-listen to it there, so we have a CD today. Everybody make sure, I hadn't mentioned it in a while, but make sure and like and follow Unity Church of Metairie. It's really important. It just helps the world to see us in the biggest way possible. And speaking of that, one more thing is many of you are shopping till you drop during the holidays. Many of us like to shop online. We are part of the Amazon Smile program. This is a charity for nonprofits. We are part of that. You can buy anything you want on Amazon. You don't have to pay extra. You have to log in differently. So it's very simple. So listen, just go to smile.amazon.com. Smile.amazon.com. Click down. It'll list charities. Pick Unity Church of Metairie. And when you do, you automatically stay there, and everything you buy, then we get a percentage of automatically. It's really nice. We get these nice little direct deposits every now and then, especially during the holiday seasons when people seem to be buying more. This is a good time to generate some money for our spiritual family. So Amazon Smile, go ahead and use that. So next week is going to be an amazing week. I would love to pack the house. Bring your friends, bring your enemies, bring your neighbors, bring your exes, bring your currents, whatever. Next week we have an exceptional speaker and songwriter. She's known all around the world. Her name is Christy Snow. She has spoken in all kind of venues. Last week she led the Charlotte, North Carolina Interfaith Thanksgiving service. She's a dynamic speaker that will blow your socks off. She writes original music that will blow your socks off. She will be here speaking next Sunday. I would love to have a big group seeing her. And we're going to do some things together as well. And she'll have her CDs here of original music. And we will be doing something after service, so plan to stay after service. And then the following Friday, she and I will be doing a concert together. So, so next Friday, we'll be doing a concert together. And I will be sending out a newsletter specifically about this. But you don't want to miss Christy. She's an amazing, amazing speaker. She's a master Native American flute player. And our meditation during the service is going to be live with a Native American flute. It's going to be very powerful and beautiful. So this is a good time to bring a friend and let them see unity in this life. But don't miss Christy next week. It's going to be wonderful. And plan to stay afterwards. She's going to do a workshop afterwards. So I think one more thing. What's this?
Yeah, next Sunday is also birthday Sunday.
Next Sunday's birthday Sunday. So get your birthday on. Come, and we're going to have birthday cake and the whole spiel. So awesome. We're going to end today, if you wouldn't mind standing as we join together. Sing this song by John Scott, our good friend from Nashville, who visited us last year about this time. This great original song with this affirmation of truth that all is well. Sing along with us. All is well, and life is good, and I am truly blessed. Yeah, and all is well. Life is good, and I am truly blessed. Let light shine. I'll let light shine, so that everyone can see. I'll let love divine daily flow through me.
all is well, and life is good, and I am truly blessed. Yeah, and all is well, and life is good, and I am truly blessed.
Help me be the change.
Help me be the change, for the change we want to see, and let harmony baby flow through me, and all is well, and life is good, and I am truly blessed. And all is well, and life is good, and I am truly blessed.
Let's affirm it together, y'all.
All is well, and life is good, I am truly blessed.
Yes, you are.
All is well, and life is good, I am truly blessed. All is well, and life is good, I am truly blessed. All is well, and life is good.
I'll let light shine.
I'll let light shine, so that everyone can see. I'll let love divine daily flow through me, and all is well, and life is good, and I am truly blessed. Yes, we are. And all is well, and life is good, and I am truly blessed.
Let's sing it through one more time, y'all.
And all is well, and life is good, and I am truly blessed. Yeah. And all is well, and life is good, and I am truly blessed. I am truly blessed. I am truly blessed.
All right. And we say together our prayer of protection as we head out into the day. The power of God surrounds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Join us at Loggers for lunch, y'all.
See